Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome to Vexity. Today I finally want to do my September wrap-up. This is getting up really late. I'm very sorry. I don't really have time to film and I've just been feeling really uninspired with my videos lately, which is why I haven't really been uploading for the last couple of weeks or maybe even months, and I'm just in a big booktube slump at the moment, and also in a bit of a reading slump because I haven't been reading a lot these past few months, and especially last month I kind of had a really bad reading month, not only in not reading a lot but also in just not really enjoying the books that I did read. And I just really want to leave the bad reading month of September behind me and just share with you what I read and tell you a bit about the books and probably rant about them a lot because I really didn't like some of them. So let's get right into this wrap up. The first book I read this month was actually a DNF, so I only read like 100 pages of this book, and that was Das Haus der Tausend Spiegel by Susanne Gerdom, a German book I've been talking about a lot. I got this as a review copy a long time ago. I never read it because I just didn't really feel like picking it up. And now I did read it and I didn't like it. There were just some things I found really offensive, and I just got really angry when reading this book. So in this book we follow the young witch Annick, but she has to be a housekeeper for this one kind of weird family, and this is kind of her task that she has been given to even be able to join the wizard school. So one thing I just hated in here was that we have a character with a disability. I don't really know what kind of disability it is as it isn't described, but it's basically a boy around the age of 14, I believe, and he kind of talks and acts like a child, and he's trying to read but he's struggling and stuff like that. And he is described as kind and everything, but he's also described as really beautiful. And then Annick is like, oh, I can't believe that he really has the mind of a child even though he is so pretty. Isn't that just so sad? And I mean, like, oh my god, what is wrong with you? Why would it be sad that someone who looks pretty has a disability? Like, what the hell? Oh my god, how does the author think that this is okay? And I just really hated that. And then there's like this really weird evil force in the house that you don't really know what it is, and it's been super confusing for the first 100 pages. Basically in the beginning it's like, oh, she's not as pretty, she should leave, I don't want her here, she's ugly. And then a couple of pages later it's like, she is so innocent, she's like a butterfly, like an untouched flower. And I don't know, it was so dumb. And why would you compare a woman like to a flower and a butterfly? Like, what? And that's basically when I decided that this book is not for me. I think I rated it like 1 or 2 stars and DNF'd it because I just couldn't take it anymore. That was not a good way to start off my reading month at all. The next book I finished was a reread, and it was basically just to fill in a challenge for the reading quest, which I participated in. I uploaded a TBR, I was super excited, and it was basically a readathon for a whole month, and my goal was to read 5 books, and I didn't meet it because I just haven't been reading. It's kind of sad. I tried to like squeeze in 2 books before the end of the readathon, but I didn't manage it. But the one that I did finish was Lemmy Jane's. Lemmy Jane's is a one-word title, which is why I wanted to read it for the reading quest. This is a graphic novel about a bunch of girls who are at a summer camp and they're friends, and it's kind of fun, but I already read this last year and it just kind of fell pretty flat for me, and I just expected more and kind of wanted more for the money because this is so expensive. And I reread it, I still feel the same way about it as I did back then. I just thought that it was alright and rated it 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I finished after that was Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. This is the German version, which I got for review, and I read this and I also listened to this on audio, so this was kind of my audiobook of the month. And this is about Lena, who I believe is 16 years old, and her mother died of cancer, and her last wish was for her to live with her father in Italy. So she moves there, she just really doesn't want to go. She's already lost her mother, and now she's gonna lose her grandmother and her best friend with whom she was living before, and she's just really sad about it and doesn't feel like she can survive in Italy at all. But then she meets this really cute guy and things go on from there, obviously. But another thing that was also really cool is that she finds the old journal her mother wrote while she was in Italy, before she got pregnant with Lena. So she basically steps into her mother's footsteps. She reads this journal and finds out everything her mother experienced while she was in Italy. And she kind of sees Italy through her eyes by visiting all the places that her mother went, and I really like that part of the story. However, there were also some things that I didn't like that eventually really ruined this book for me. There was one thing that I didn't really like, which was she has this journal of her mother, and by reading it there are some problems that arise, some things that she doesn't know yet, some things she doesn't understand. And she could just read that journal and find out the questions that she has, but instead she goes off and tries to find people who will help her get to know her mother better and stuff like that, where I'm like, girl, you have all the answers right in front of you, just read the damn journal. Like, you know, the 13 Reasons Why TV show, why the hell doesn't Jay just listen to all the tapes? That's how I felt with Lena and the journal. Like, girl, just get it together. And then there was the thing that I just did not like. There's one thing I just hate, and it's a thing that happens a lot in YA, and it also happened in this book, and that is when the main character has a crush on a guy who has a girlfriend, and the guy then cheats on his girlfriend with our main character, and it's considered completely fine. And I don't even mean cheating as in having sex or even kissing. I mean cheating as in spending time with our main character the entire time, basically making them fall in love with them, being in love with them, and just having this romantic relationship while the guy still has a girlfriend. Like, how the hell can we think that this is okay? Emotional cheating is cheating, and it's just so stupid. It blows my mind how authors think that this is a good example to set for teenagers something to aspire in their relationships. Like, why would you write that? I hate when that happens. I just didn't like how cheating was dealt in this book. Like, for example, Lena goes to her father and she's like, oh, I don't think he likes me. Oh, I'm sure he does. Oh, but he has a girlfriend. And the father's just like, oh, I'm sure that he likes you more than his girlfriend. I'm sure if you wear that dress, he's gonna fall for you instead of his girlfriend. And I'm like, you're an adult and you encourage your teenage daughter to go after a guy who already has a girlfriend? Like, what the hell? What the hell? So, yeah. My problem with this book, I eventually rated this 2 out of 5 stars. I liked a lot of things about it. I thought that it was a great novel to read when you are in the Tuscany area in Italy, because I love that place so much and it was really beautiful. But the whole cheating was just no. The next book I read was another YA book I didn't enjoy, and that was Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac by Gabrielle Savine, I think it's pronounced. And this is about a young girl who gets amnesia, as the name suggests. So Naomi falls down the stairs on her school, hits her head, and suddenly has amnesia. She forgets everything that happened in her life after she was 12 years old, and then she gets told that so much stuff happened in her life. She doesn't remember her friends, she doesn't remember that her parents have split up after she was 12 years old, so everything is just a big mess. She has to basically get to know her whole life again. She has to find out who she was before the amnesia, and she has to try to live with that memory loss. Now this sounds like a really good start for a book, and this is so highly acclaimed on BookTube. I've heard several big booktubers rate this 4 or 5 stars. Ariel Lucette has recommended it several times, which was the main reason I wanted to read it. But oh my god, did I not like this book. You guys, it was a hot mess. So in the beginning of the book, when Naomi falls down the stairs and hits her head, there's this guy who basically goes to hospital with her. He takes care of her, he calls the ambulance, and then he tells the doctors and people who are coming that he is her boyfriend and goes with her to the hospital. And when she's there, she obviously doesn't remember him, and later on he tells her that he actually isn't her boyfriend, he just said that so that he could go with her. That's all fine. But then he's like, yeah, I thought that I should tell you because I really wanted to kiss you, but I thought that that would be kind of a bad thing to do. And it's basically like he wants to have a fucking medal for being a decent person and not forcing himself on a girl who's just completely forgotten the last years of her life, and it's like shown as this really great thing to make us as the reader like him, that he wouldn't lie to her about being the boyfriend and then kissing her. Like, no, that's not a thing that you can be proud of. That's just human decency. The fact that you even thought about doing that is just so messed up. Like, that was so stupid. I couldn't deal. Like, at that point I was already at, okay, I hope this book gets better. It did not. Oh gosh, we had the whole tropes of a boy and a girl being best friends, and then suddenly, of course, the guy is in love with her secretly since forever, and it once again shows that girls and boys can never be just friends, because we all know that that never happens. Especially not in YA novels. And then we have the bad boy boyfriend trope who is mysterious and so dark and such a cliche. And then we also have a side character who is bisexual, and I was like, yay, bi rap and books, I love it. And a couple of pages later she's like, so I'm basically gonna flirt with everyone, and my girlfriend, I don't care about her. So we had like the bisexual cheating girl in this, which is the worst trope I ever heard of, and I hate it so much. So that was fun. The father of Naomi had a Latino girlfriend who was called like Rosa Rivera or something, and she was always referred to by her first and last name, and she was a dancer, like a salsa dancer or something, and she was like the most cliche Latino woman you could ever think of, and I thought it was like such an offensive stereotype, and everything about this book was so weird. So weird. I rated this 1.5 or maybe 2 stars, but more like less than 2 stars, because thinking back about it now, I don't have anything that even deserves stars, to be honest. I did not like that book, and I don't get why booktubers recommend it all the time, because it's honestly trash in my opinion. So, didn't like that. So after all of that negativity, there were actually also some things that I read and enjoyed in September, thank God. So I read a bit of Wonder Woman, Warbringer by Lee Verdugo, and I really enjoyed that, but I only finished it in October, so it will be in my next wrap up and then in this one. But I did decide to pick up a really short book from my TBR, and I read it in one day towards the end of September, and I basically read that because it was Banned Books Week, and I thought that I should read a banned book from my TBR, and I did. It was Animal Farm by George Orwell. I really liked it. I was hesitant because I've read one other George Orwell book, and it was 1984, and I didn't like it. I thought it was boring and it dragged, and just couldn't get that much out of it. but this book was so cool. So you probably know about this concept because this is a classic and such a well-known book, but it's basically about those animals who don't want to be ruled by humans anymore, so they get rid of the farmer from their farm, and now the farm is led by themselves. There's no masters anymore, it's just the animals. And the thing that they want to live by is that all animals are equal. And this is basically what happens once the animals are ruling for themselves. And it is just a parody of communism, and it shows why communism or socialism is really, really bad and never ever works out. And this was so great. Like, it had me thinking about so many things. I still think about this book all the time, even though it's been like a couple of weeks since I finished it, and I just really, really liked it. I thought it was super smart and very, very well done, and it was the best book I've read all month, which I don't think has ever happened with a classic before. I rated this 4 stars. I would definitely recommend you pick it up. I literally read this in just a few hours in one day. It's a short, quick book, like just over 100 pages I think, and I would recommend this for everyone to read because I think it's really, really cool and should be read and thought about by basically everyone. That was it for my September wrap up. That was quite a ride, you guys. I really didn't like most of the books I read. I just get so tired of some of these tropes, but I really think I just have to look that I'm gonna be reading better YA books, because I know that there are great YA books out there. I read them all the time. I just need to look that they are more diverse and more like own voices books, and books about important issues, because those are books I like, and the ones that I read were just bad choices, I think. But yeah, I'm constantly learning about my reading taste. It's constantly changing and evolving, and a couple of years ago I probably would have liked those books that I just ranted about, and it just shows how much we evolve as readers, really. I'm looking forward to having a much better reading month in October, I hope. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them, and let me know if you have recently read some really bad books or maybe some really good ones, and I will hopefully see you again in another video very soon. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.